Welcome to this explainer. Let's jump right into a full spoiler-heavy breakdown of the brand new Superman film. We're going to dig into the core themes, unpack Clark's character arc, and look at exactly what this means for the future of the DC universe. If you love dissecting the DNA of a great story, you're absolutely in the right place.
But before we get into the plot mechanics, we really have to ask, what does it actually take to be a hero today? Because instead of leaning into that dark, gritty trend we've seen so much of lately, this film makes a very deliberate pivot back to the character's roots. It's a massive shift in how we look at power on screen.
So let's start by looking at him as a symbol of hope, going beyond just the cape. This movie wastes literally no time establishing Superman as a definitive beacon of light right out of the gate. He isn't just a powerful hero, he's a symbol of hope. Unlike recent versions that focus so heavily on the burden and the fear of his godlike abilities, this interpretation goes all in on kindness, empathy, and the radical idea that doing the right thing actually matters. It isn't just about how hard the guy can punch, it's about the deep compassion he shows before a single punch is ever thrown.
And that brings us to his internal struggle, being caught between two worlds. The story doesn't introduce its main conflict with some giant CGI villain dropping from the sky. Nope. It starts with Clark Kent wrestling with his own identity. There is this intense tug-of-war happening inside him. On one side, you have the terrifying, immense power of his Kryptonian heritage, right? A legacy from a dead alien world. But then on the other side, there's his grounded, incredibly human life raised by farmers in Kansas. This isn't just background lore we're talking about. This is the actual heartbeat of the story. He is constantly torn between these two halves.
Which leads to a pretty agonizing question for him. Will humanity ever truly accept him? Despite having all these incredible powers, or maybe because of them, he's always questioning how best to use his abilities. He basically has all the power in the universe, but deep down, he just wants to figure out where he belongs. And honestly, that's what makes him so deeply relatable here. Moving into the ideology, the conflict, in Lois Lane, we really get to see what grounds the Man of Steel. Clark definitely doesn't navigate this internal storm by himself. We have to talk about the relationships that keep him tethered to humanity. Lois is way more than just a damsel in distress in this adaptation. She actively challenges his perspectives, she supports his emotional journey, and she is the one who really helps him connect with humanity. Their chemistry gives Clark the emotional depth he desperately needs to understand human connection. She is completely essential. She's the rock that keeps him grounded. And then we have the villains. What's fascinating is that the antagonists are far more than just massive physical threats. They are deep ideological challenges. They represent totally opposing worldviews. And that elevates the whole film from just another standard action blockbuster into a genuinely philosophical battle. They force Superman to really confront the balance of power versus responsibility. Because it's not just about who wins the fight, right? It's about how he wins it. Can he use his immense strength without losing his humanity in the process? The villains push him right to the edge of this question, and it creates some incredibly tense moments that literally had me holding my breath in the theater. All of this tension builds directly into the emotional climax, which is action entirely driven by humanity. This is where all those simmering themes of hope and identity finally just explode. The visual execution is phenomenal. The spectacular battles mimic the high-energy, fast-paced action we absolutely expect from massive cinema today. I mean, the flying sequences alone gave me chills. You definitely get all the huge, earth-shattering spectacle you want. But here is why it works so well. The action is intimately connected to protecting innocent lives. Every caught building, every blocked punch, it's all anchored to his empathy. There is this beautiful, shocking moment where he actually stops mid-fight just to shield bystanders. That right there is what grounds the spectacle and makes it mean something. This climax perfectly showcases the power of optimism. Even when he's facing completely impossible odds, he refuses to give up. And by standing firm, he ends up inspiring everyone around him. It proves that his greatest power isn't his heat vision. It's his ability to make people believe in a better tomorrow. This scene alone proves exactly why Superman is fundamentally different from other heroes. Okay, let's wrap this up with the verdict and what this all means for the future of DC, because the way this resolves is super important. The ending brilliantly leaves the door wide open, hinting at some much larger events on the horizon. For anyone keeping track of the lore, it is definitely laying the groundwork for a massive interconnected universe. It should make you very, very eager for what's coming next. Ultimately, this is a cinematic triumph. It perfectly balances explosive action with genuine, heartfelt emotion. It brings the character back to his hopeful roots while simultaneously delivering a really fresh, much-needed direction for the whole DC franchise.
When you combine the stunning visuals, Clark's deep internal struggle, and that incredible dynamic with Lois, this easily stands as one of the absolute strongest Superman adaptations we've seen in years. I'd give it a very solid, well-deserved 8.5 out of 10.
So, I'm going to leave you with this. Is this the strongest version of Superman yet? Do you think his choice to lean into hope over fear really hit the mark for you? And are you excited for this new era of heroes? Keep those questions in mind as you think about this incredible cinematic reset. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and remember to always look for the deeper story behind the spectacle.